highest in 3 decades.
90 points up on the Nifty to begin with.
Airline industry is not something that we see, fitting our sort of capital discipline.
The Nifty has moved higher. It's been led by IT stocks, by Reliance.
It is CNBC-TV18 News Break, which is confirmed, where they will be acquiring 20% stake in Shriram Finance. The stock has surged to the day's high.
We are seeing the markets jump in today's trading session. We have a positive market breadth on our hands as well. The CDMO space, some estimates are, say, 20 billion by 2030.
I think there's a lot of opportunity.
Well, that was the day so far. Hello and welcome to Closing Bell. I'm Naishal D'Souza, and joining me in a short while from now is Reema Tendulkar as well as Surbhi Upadhyay. Well, it's a good day for the markets. We're holding higher with gains in today's trading session. The Nifty is approaching that 20 DMA, which is pretty good news. The Nifty Bank as well, it's on its way to its 20 DMA. And by the end of today, the bulls will want to close actually above that 20 DMA, which is going to be the important mark. The Bank of Japan meet was a crucial factor that we were tracking. That seems to be out of the way, though. They're indicating that it could probably be a few more rate hikes in the offing. But the street seems to have positioned for that particular event and digested the event. So that's out of the way. Markets moving ahead. Hey, Reema.
Hi. All's well that ends well, right? The start of the week was very sluggish. Yeah. But now as we speak, with the Nifty at this level, up 150 points and approaching 26,000, we've managed to trim our weekly losses to just down about 0.25% on the Midcap index. On the Nifty, while on the Midcap index, we're down about 0.5% for the week. So Friday is helping. Also, the advanced decline ratio was in favor of the declining stocks for the last 3 days. The market breadth was negative. But today, midcaps are outperforming. The midcap index is up 400 points, up 0.7%. And the advanced decline ratio is also positive. So that too is helping. And then you've got so many high flyers. So ICICI Pru AMC on the back of the strong debut. Shriram Finance, the deal of FY25, largest ever FDI, $4.5 billion coming in. And Shriram Finance, after the run-up it's had, has added on another 4%. And it's pretty much holding on to that. As I said, all's well that ends well.
Deals galore, and the BFSI space in India is buzzing like never before. I mean, so much money pouring in, right? But overall, like you guys have been saying, it's been a good week. The Nifty, not quite back at 26,000, but well, practically there. So the range is intact. The range is not getting broken on the downside. That's a short point. And it's been looking good. The mid-cap market also participating in a fairly decent way. We'll tell you more about today's movers and shakers as we go along. So here's the lineup on the show today. It's been a session of strong gains, bringing that much-needed relief to investors. The market right now maintaining its position close to the highs of the day. The Nifty close to the 26,000 mark. Broader markets participating in line. The big story of the day, of course, is Japan's top bank, MUFG, inking that deal. And it's worth over $4.3 billion to pick up a 20% stake in Shriram Finance. We'll tell you all about it, what it means for Shriram and what it means for investors. Then a sector spotlight, we're putting it on pharma. A lot of pharma stocks buzzing around today. President Trump has signed the Biosecure Act. This implies accelerated growth, perhaps for the CDMO players here in India. More on this as we go along. And then today, it's been a good listing for ICICI Prudential AMC. India's second largest asset manager makes a strong debut. It's holding on to gains of almost 20%. We'll tell you more about this issue. Now, moving on, Grow is another stock in focus. It's reacting very, very well to a Jefferies note. Jefferies very, very bullish on Grow. We'll tell you why as we go along. So plenty coming up. Let's get started with the trades then for the last hour. Mitesh is joining in. Mitesh, good afternoon. Good day, actually. Any index calls right now, or are you sticking with stocks?
Good afternoon, Surbhi. I think, index, the idea is that, we've been highlighting this, that it's a range market and therefore buying towards lower end of the range should happen, which is around 25,800, 750. So that was, I think, yesterday. Today, I don't think it's a good idea to take an index long position because, again, you're somewhere in the middle of the range. So, your risk reward doesn't give you a good outcome. But yeah, on stock side, I think KEI Industries is something, which is on the day's high. It's given a good price and volume action breakout today. So buy here with a stop at about 41.80 and a target of around 43.55, 60 can be looked at. And the other one is Britannia. It had a breakout couple of days back, 2 days of pullback, and again, signaling continuation. So that's a buy as well. Keep a stop below 60.50. Look for targets of around 60,200.
Got that. We'll come back to you and revisit those trades and get some more ideas. For now, let's talk about the biggest deal, one of the biggest deals in Indian financial sector. Japan's MUFG has inked a deal to invest about $4.3 billion in Shriram Finance for a 20% stake. Gaurav is now joining in with the details. Gaurav, the markets knew this was coming. Since October, the stock has been rallying. And yet, seldom do we see, it's always buy the news, buy the rumor, sell the news. But in this case, after the deal contours are known, we've seen the stock move up another 4%. So fill us in with the nuances of the deal and your own take.
Well, yes, if you look at the deal, it is actually the largest FDI flow that the Indian financials have ever seen. Because if you look at the structure, they are going to invest 39,620 crores for 20% stake, which translates roughly into 840.9 rupee per share. Now, if you look at the stock price, even at that moment when the deal was announced, it was at around 860. So it was a very small amount of discount that was given to the deal, given that it is a 20% stake that they are looking for. Apart from that, if you look at the synergies, they are really going to be helpful for Shriram Finance going ahead, because first is that MUFG said that the rationale behind this investment was to support the growth of Shriram Finance as a strategic partner. Second is that they're also going to provide opportunities for transaction with MUFG's broad customer network. So another network of customers is something that they're unlocking with this deal. Other than that, they're also going to establish a platform for MSME loans through MUFG portfolio as well as Shriram portfolio. If you look at Shriram portfolio, it is MSME is the third largest segment that they cater in terms of AUM. And apart from that, for second quarter at least, it was the fastest growing segment for Shriram Finance. If you look at the impact, it is also going to be positive. In fact, MUFG said that high growth potential is that something that they are penciling in. And lastly, coming to the valuation, even if you look at the deal value and the valuation right now, it is still lower than its closest peer, which is Cholamandalam Investment. In fact, the deal, if you consider the deal value, it happened at 1.9 times price to book versus Cholamandalam, which trades at around 4.1 times price to book if you compare the FY27 earnings. So definitely there was another upside that they were looking for. Lastly, if you look at some other aspects as well, the cost of finance did not need any capital. They had 20% capital adequacy ratio. With this new fresh capital coming in, first is that the cost of funds will go down. Second is that because there is a strategic investor which is coming in, there is a case of a credit re-rating which will further bring down the cost of fund for the company. So definitely all in all, it can boost the ROAs once entire capital is deployed, and at the same time it will also help Shriram Finance to grow. Remember, they are targeting 17% growth at this moment, but we may see some increase in the growth target as well. We will be watching out and waiting for how management is going to comment, but as a result, if you look at the stock performance, market has taken it in a very positive way. As we speak, the stock is up more than 3%.
Absolutely. Gaurav, just to clarify, and I think this is one of the announcements in the press release as well, right? So, MUFG will remain a shareholder, a public shareholder.
That's correct.
They're not really strategic in terms of any business synergies, nothing of the sort. They just bring the capital, it goes and shores up the CET1 ratio that you mentioned, but they remain investors. That's about it for now.
So at the same time, MUFG in their presentation also said that they will be helping Shriram Finance and they will be looking this deal as a strategic partner, and they will establish a business platform in MSME and retail segment in India. So that is also something that the kind of synergy that they are bringing in along with the capital that they're giving to Shriram Finance.
So there will be some synergy and maybe some work together, at least in MSME and in retail, the two segments where MUFG is interested. Got that. Thanks very much for explaining the deal contours to us. Now, this is a huge amount of money that's come in, probably one of the largest pieces of FDI that the sector has seen. Ritu is joining in to shed more lights on the implications for Shriram, maybe the group, and of course the sector. Ritu.
Well, Surbhi, 2025 has been pretty much a watershed landmark year for foreign capital coming into Indian financials, because in just 1 year, now with this latest deal, $11.8 billion has flowed into banks and NBFCs in 1 year. And, we're not talking about hot money. This is sticky strategic capital. You have investors that are taking board seats, that are locking in capital, and that are going to influence decisions. So it's a very clear break from what we saw in 2020-23, when foreign money was very minority. It was portfolio style, exit driven. What has also been very interesting, the trend that we've been seeing and what we call as a Japan wave, so to speak, because we've seen a whole host of Japanese capital come into India. In fact, out of this $11.8 billion, almost $6.8 billion or so is from the region alone. You have MUFG putting in about $4.4 billion for Shriram Finance, SMBC again that was close to $1.9 billion for Yes Bank, and Mizuho Securities buying a majority stake in Avendus Capital. But back to Shriram, it is a watershed moment. 39,620 crores, largest foreign investor ever in Indian financial services. And this is important because this is pure growth capital. It is not any rescue money. And, it's pairing a high growth NBFC with a global banking giant. And that gives MUFG some real strategic influence, not just a financial stake. Because remember, foreign banks in India have been not so successful. This perhaps gives MUFG more of a leg up. 2025 also, in fact, it was a clear shift from minority stake to control and operational influence. If you broaden the horizon, the Emirates NBD deal of 60% takeover of RBL Bank is the first time you have a foreign bank taking over outright control. IHC's investment in Samman Capital, again, promoter level intent. SMBC, now the largest foreign shareholder in Yes Bank. And, with it, if you see, the regulation is also changing. RBI is now allowing high-quality foreign investors into banks and NBFCs. For banks, remember, there is a strategic cap of 15% for foreign investors. And on a case-to-case basis, RBI does approve higher stakes. For NBFCs, there's no formal foreign ownership cap. So that perhaps makes them the preferred gateway for some of this foreign money to come in. But put together, 2025 is going to stand out as the year that global capital went all in on Indian financials.
And it came from everywhere. It was pouring in from the West. It was pouring in from the East. The West Asia investors and the Japs, they have really made their presence felt in the Indian financial landscape. Ritu, thank you very much for that. Very helpful context over there. Let's take the conversation forward with Dharmesh Kant, who's joining us from Chola Securities. Dharmesh, what to say? Well, the deals happened. The thing is, I think the market knew this was coming. Shriram Finance has rallied a good 50-55% this year already. What do you think of the synergies? And do you think this still offers valuation comfort for one of the cheapest NBFCs, right, in India? Does it still offer the comfort to make a fresh entry now?
Yeah, good afternoon, Surbi. Thanks for having me for the show. So from the time, Shriram Finance was to be included into the Nifty, it has seen multiple re-rating continuing. And the road ahead is also likely to be a re-rating road for this NBFC. But the reason being why it was valued, cheap earlier was it has a growth rate was not as high as, say, Bajaj Finance or the other larger competitor, which was into mid-20s, whereas this company was growing at 12 to 15%. And the ROEs was low. It was 15% kind of an ROE, where the other two are giving you in excess of 20% kind of an ROE. With this cheaper capital coming in, as has been explained right now, that this ROEs, because of the lower cost of fund, is going to improve. What is significant about Shriram Finance is because it was solely concentrated into a single business segment, and that was vehicle finance. It has been looking forward to diversifying. I know they have been hiring big time in the wealth management piece. And with retail and MSME again coming into the play with this investment coming into play, and they going ahead with that kind of synergy. We have to wait for the clarity, but this will definitely entail multiple re-rating and at the same time far larger competition for the larger players. So I think still it's cheap. Around 2 times price to book it is trading as of now with this kind of a price action. It can go to 3.5 to 4 times price to book in line with their larger competitors like Bajaj Finance and the other players in the market. So, but yes, if you're asking me whether this is a good time to enter for a fresh investment, I think the answer is yes. One has to be patient. It can have some profit taking playing out in a couple of days, but likely to give you a significant price appreciation in 2026 as well, as the sum of parts of the other business verticals which will come into play, their valuation gets discounted for.
What else is a good level, Dharmesh, to enter in? We usually, tell you the stock and ask your view on it, but this time it's open-ended.
Yeah, you are asking about Shriram Finance whether investors should enter at current levels.
That you think? Shriram Finance, you said that it's attractive over the longer term. You may see declines. Use that to get in. But any other stock that you like at this juncture?
Yeah, Rima, definitely. I mean, for 2026, I have a contra theme to play out for, and that is, I think, IndusInd Bank offers a very good opportunity to enter at current levels. It's again, the valuation comfort is huge out there. The other stock being Tata Motors passenger vehicle, TMPV. I think the problem of their software thing is through now, and the JLR sales are likely to pick up going forward with lower interest rate regime. Now even UK has cut the interest rate, so that is going to help them. And the third is from the defense basket, that is HL. So last year the HL went flat. I think 2026 again, as execution picks up and the order book has already swelled, you can have a good long runway out there. So these are the three contra price action wise themes where valuation comfort is there. We are playing out for 2026.
Okay, all right, Dharmesh. By the way, just pull up a few stocks actually from the broader markets. Precision Camshaft, I think we should get that stock up for you on the screen. It suddenly spurted close to around 15%. Another one you should pull up is DCX Systems. Just pull up that stock. No, these are all stocks that have come off drastically from the recent high. And they, in fact, are almost at circuit. Maybe some kind of propping up towards the end of the year. I'm not sure about that. But a couple of these names actually from the broader markets are flying away. And today, in fact, the advanced decline ratio is very, very heartening. 2,000 stocks are actually advancing, seeing that number after a while. Well, pharma counters, in fact, are buzzing today, especially the CDMO names in focus. This after the US President Donald Trump signed the National Defense Authorization Act into a law which includes the Biosecure Act. The likes of Divi's and Syngene are Macquarie's radar. Let's go across to Ekta. She's joining to give us details of that report. Ekta?
Well, yes, the US President has signed the FY26 National Defense Authorization Act into law, and that includes the Biosecure Act, which is a part of the National Defense Authorization Act. So essentially, the Biosecure Act has become law in the US. Now, what exactly does it mean? The Macquarie has written on the entire Indian CDMO space, which could be positively impacted. So stocks such as Divi's, as well as OneSource Specialty, Sai Life, Loris Labs, all of these stocks are in focus because they are CDMO plays. Macquarie has said that the Indian CDMO market is worth around $7 billion and could grow to around $20 billion by around 2030. The incremental projects resulting from the Biosecure Act are expected to contribute to revenue and the earnings only after a lag of around 12 to 24 months. For them, they've reiterated their outperform on CDMO coverage companies such as Divi's Labs as well as Syngene. Those are the companies that they prefer within their coverage. Now, the likes of Sai Life Sciences, when they had spoken to us earlier, have mentioned that CDMOs were waiting for final confirmation and will now start acting on the Biosecure Act once it's in law. They have engaged in significant strategic conversations, but the meaningful numbers will take some time to see. Similarly, Piramal Pharma had spoken to us a couple of weeks ago, and they said that the decisions of moving to Indian CDMOs will start taking some time to reflect on the P&L. They are sticking to their FY26 guidance, which they had given earlier, which is of a flat revenue and a moderate to low teens margin. The Indian CDMO space, they have explained, is much smaller than China, but they have seen an uptick when it comes to requests for proposals, but it's too soon to take a decision in terms of what's really fructifying into business. They have to consider the grandfathering clause in the Biosecure Act, which is basically around 5 years. So companies will take that much time to possibly transition into newer contracts. And so that is the overall feedback that we've got with regards to the Biosecure Act, that yes, it is a positive for Indian CDMOs. The market share that Indian companies have is much smaller than the likes of China, but it is possibly going to take some time to shift business tangibly in terms of what it could reflect in terms of the P&L for Indian CDMO companies.
Thank you very much for that. Ekta, you also had a chat with the management of Piramal Pharma. Listen in to what she had to say.
We've seen a very big uptick in RFPs in our Sellersville site and our Lexington site, which are both, one's oral solid dose and one's sterile fill finish. But I think a lot of drug substance will continue to be made between the US and other countries, including India, and I think that's where India will have an opportunity. But I will say again that it will take time, as you said. as we have seen an uptick in RFPs, but again, that's, for those RFPs to translate into decisions and to come out in the P&L will take, I agree with you, 12 to 24 months. If you look at the market cap of all the Indian CDMO companies, they may be smaller than the largest Chinese companies. So I think that's like all of us together are very much smaller compared to China.
All right, Dharmesh, what do you think about the pharma pack? What kind of opportunity still lies for Indian pharma companies?
Yeah, Dr. Nigel. Yeah, definitely. I mean, the pharma pack is looking attractive, particularly if you talk about the vanilla pharma play, like Lupin is looking very good to me. And the reason being the last 2 quarters have been a stupendous kind of earnings growth trajectory, and it's well diversified as far as geographies are concerned. So the run rate is likely to continue going forward. Valuation comfort is there if you compare this to Sun Pharma or a Cipla. So that is, one of the topics out there. CDMO space has been doing pretty well. It's like a GCC for the pharma space. And the numbers were, again, a very strong set of numbers. The last quarter, when it came to Laurus, in particular, reported a very good set of numbers. I think one can play a basket in the CDMO space where Laurus have SciLife, Sensex, and the others can be put together, and you can have a play out there. So a long way to go on the CDMO space. And Naveen Fluorine is again, one company which is going big time into the CDMO space, and their specialty chemical division has also picked up. So these are the companies which are looking attractive. Pharma space looks pretty good, and currency tailwind is already helping them out.
By the way, in Midcap IT, Tata Elxsi is up 8.5% now, and pretty large volumes. Tata Elxsi has been an underperformer year to date. It's down 20% because the company's growth rate slowed down. In FY26, the company is likely to report a negative revenue growth of 3-4%, according to some analysts. If there is a pickup, and plus the INR is a tailwind, then the alpha becomes a lot higher, because on a negative growth, if you show any sort of an improvement, it shows up a lot more. 2 other stocks, Sagility and IKS. These are all tech companies which cater more to, the pharmaceutical side of business, and they have a very high offshore delivery center. So the INR tailwind particularly benefits these companies. And these stocks are also doing pretty well. IKS, and the other one is Sagility. Dharmesh, any thoughts on Tata Elxsi? Firstly, do you know the reason behind this 8% up move? Have you had a chat with the management? Are they expecting a very strong quarter, which is what's getting reflected? And then the Sagility and IKS.
See, Riba, I did not have a chat with the management of Tata Elxsi, but I think today's move, it's hard to quantify why the move is happening. But there's a news flow where the Kavach new rollout, where they have tied up with a new company, and that's a 50,000 crore kind of an opportunity for the entire marketplace. And Tata Elxsi, being the first mover out there, it's likely to gain a lot. And the thing is that if you, for 1 kilometer kind of a Kavach 4.0 rollout, you would be gaining around 50-60 lakh rupees, and if for locomotives it is 70 to 80 lakh rupees. So it can be a sizable play for that. As far as auto segment is concerned, automobile, nothing, to my mind, be it Tata Elxsi or Tata Technology or KPIT Technology, and nothing has come up where you can see a traction in the auto space, whether it is EV or ICE picking up, and then the business can get re-rated at current levels. So we will wait for Q3 and Q4 for the numbers for these companies to see, and the management committees going forward to take a further call whether to get invested or not. Sagility, and as far as the IKS is concerned, I think it's more to do with the news flow today of this bill getting passed, and they are like high tensions are not there, and currency tailwind is playing out. Nothing more there.
Okay, all right. I think from this mid-cap tech, you like a company Aurionpro, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, all right, Dharmesh, appreciate you joining in. Thanks a lot. Birthday week, so I guess you'll have some celebrations into the weekend as well. Have a good one, Dharmesh. Well, we'll slip into a short break, come back, continue to focus on markets as well as on stock-specific action.
Yeah, Ajay, look at your dad. Will we be the same at his age?
Absolutely yes, if we plan our future like him.
How?
My father had invested in LIC's Jeevan Akshay, which gives immediate and guaranteed annuity at regular intervals, that too for life.
Wow. LIC's annuity plans give annuity options and flexibility in receiving regular income. LIC, हर पल आपके साथ.
ऑप्शन ट्रेडिंग की सोच रहा हूँ. सोचना भी मत, बड़ा पैसा चाहिए, बेचनी पड़ेगी कार. बिक जाएगा घर बार. डर गया, पर ऐसा कुछ होता नहीं.
शेयर इंडिया के साथ इजीली गवर्नमेंट सिक्योरिटीज, एक्विटीज और म्यूचुअल फंड्स के पोर्टफोलियो को प्लेज कर सकते हैं और इस मार्जिन मनी से बेफिक्र ट्रेड कर सकते हैं. शेयर इंडिया, डाउनलोड द ऐप नाउ.
Investments in securities markets are subject to market risks. Read all related documents carefully before investing.
Thank you.
Enjoy your meal.
Neither the middle seat nor the meal is a sandwich. That's Air India now.
पापा सोचती हूँ फॉरेन यूनिवर्सिटी से पोस्ट ग्रेजुएशन कर लूँ.
हो जाएगा.
और ट्यूशन फीस
हो जाएगा.
अकोमोडेशन
हो जाएगा.
और ट्रैवल एक्सपेंसेस
हो जाएगा. बाय गॉड्स ग्रेस.
नाउ आई वांट टू सी गॉड.
हो जाएगा. अरे ये कैसे होगा?
मैं दिखाऊं? That's my God.
यूनियन बैंक एजुकेशन लोन से सब हो जाएगा.
बिजली का बिल 5,000.
आउटगोइंग तो जा रही है. आपकी क्या तैयारी है?
रूट कैनाल 25,000.
आउटगोइंग है जा रही. आपकी क्या तैयारी?
सीनियर क्लास की फीस 1 लाख रुपीस.
मनी की आउटगोइंग रहेगी जारी, इसीलिए कर लो तैयारी. SIP के साथ इन्वेस्ट करो और जरूरत पड़ने पर SWP के साथ सिस्टमैटिकली विड्रॉ करो. म्यूचुअल फंड निवेश बाजार जोखिमों के अधीन है. योजना से जुड़े सभी दस्तावेजों को ध्यान से पढ़ें.
फॉरेक्स ट्रेडिंग अभी
एक ट्रेड में सिक्सर.
ए अक्का.
प्रसिद्ध पहले सेफ्टी वरना क्लीन बोल्ड. अनऑथराइज्ड प्लेटफॉर्म पे फॉरेक्स ट्रेडिंग यानी नुकसान, धोखाधड़ी और कानूनी कार्रवाई का डर.
मतलब नुकसान की हैट्रिक. इसीलिए RBI वेबसाइट पर जाएं, ऑथराइज्ड लिस्ट जांचें. RBI कहता है
जानकार बनिए, सतर्क रहिए.
The best holiday ever's finally over.
When you fly Emirates, your holiday isn't over until your flight is over.
छुट्टी पे तो चिलकर.
मेरा बैंक मुझे चिल करने देता है. इंटरेस्ट पता कितना देता है? इतना सा. और वो भी हर 3 महीने बाद.
नॉट बैंकिंग विद AU.
AU? AU. AU सेविंग्स अकाउंट में मिलते हैं अमेजिंग बेनिफिट्स, पेपरलेस बैंकिंग एंड हायर इंटरेस्ट. वो भी हर महीने.
एवरी मंथ. सोच बदलो और बैंक भी.
We have carefully reviewed your performance and promoting you to branch manager.
सर. हेलो. Motilal Oswal.
When life goes to the next level, download Rise by Motilal Oswal. Investments and securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.
Welcome back. So the green continues as far as the Nifty is concerned, 150 points up. Let's figure out which are the real movers and shakers of the day. As always, Hormuz is here with the action. Hormuz, what did you cash today?
Well, I wanted to end the week on a positive note, so only gainers in the list today, although there were a lot of other movers on the downside, particularly the sugar stocks that are taking a bit of a beating today. But starting off with Tata Elxsi, and out of nowhere, the stock is up 8.5% in today's session, the biggest single-day gain since April. And the stock has moved higher in 5 out of the last 7 sessions. The volumes are the highest in a month. Almost 15.5 lakh shares have been traded today, 10x of its 20-day average, which is only 1.5 lakh. Now, it's broken above its 50-day moving average. The 100-day is just around about 5450, so just about there for Tata Elxsi. And the stock had fallen to a 52-week low of 4,700, and now it's staging a bit of a rebound from there, and it's already halved from that August 2022 peak that it had hit, which was close to 11,000 rupees, still down 50% from those levels. Second straight year of negative returns for the stock. Now, DCX Systems, the defense stocks are making a bit of a comeback in today's session. The biggest single day gain since listing that the stock has seen, this 19% up move.
Volumes are the highest in 4 months. 2 crore shares have been traded on DCX systems. 20-day average is only just close to 5 lakh shares. The stock is now all below key moving averages. The next one is at the 50-day moving average around 200 rupees. And it's declined in 6 out of the last 7 months. It has a very forgettable year. And from the 2024 July peak of 450 rupees, the stock is down 60% from those levels and also trades below its IPO price, which is around 210. Now, Quadrant Future Tech is another one of those bombed out names is seeing some good moves today. 11.5% higher, snapped a 3-day losing streak. Volumes the highest in 2 months, the biggest single day gain since March. Now here we have had more than 1.2 crore shares that have been traded. The 20-day average is less than 2 lakh shares. The stock is below its IPO price of 290, and from the post-listing high of close to 750 rupees, the stock is down almost 65% from those levels. And it is one of those IPOs which was subscribed nearly 200 times. Retail portion was subscribed 250 times. The stock had a very sharp up move after listing, and now it finds itself at these levels. And lastly, PDS snapped a 3-day losing streak today as well. Biggest single day gain since November of 2017 for the stock. There are 10 lakh shares traded here, 20-day average of just around 80,000 shares. It has moved above its 200-day moving average at 377 and now all above its key moving averages as well. And from its January peak, which was this year, 650, stock is down 40% from those levels, turning out to be the worst calendar year performance since 2016.
Thank you very much for that. Let's invite Nikhil Ranka, CIO, Equity Alternates, Nuvama Asset Management on the show now. Nikhil, great to have you this Friday afternoon. I remember in our last conversation, you were betting big on cement. This was about a couple of months back, 2-3 months back. Now looking ahead, what is the one big bet that you have sectorally?
So good afternoon, Rima, and thanks for having me on the show. Rima, my sense is banking is one sector which is now starting to look incrementally very positive from these levels. If you see the last 12-15 months, banking stocks have gone nowhere because you had almost 7,500 bips of rate cuts and almost 40 bips, 50 bips of NIM pressure that they had to absorb, because of which even though loan growth was in 11-12%, your pre-provisioning profit was in single digits. My sense is Q4 should be the bottom of NIMs for all the banking stocks, and given the fact that deposits typically are in that average tenure of 12 to 14 months, a lot of deposits will also come for repricing in Q4 in that sense. So therefore, we will have a strong uptick in NIMs in my sense Q1 onwards for a lot of private sector banks. And if you look at valuations for most of the private sector banks, things are now below 2 times price to book, which had rarely been the case if you see the history of the last 3-4 years in that sense. So my sense is that from here on, banking should perform well. We should expect 12 to 15% upside in a lot of private sector banks from here on.
All right.
Nikhil, just recently, I think Citi put out a note where they were they were referring to Axis Bank, and they said that the NIM bottoming out has gotten extended by another 2 quarters. And the stock reacted adversely. It was down 4-5%.
Right. So, Rima, if you look at it, 40% of the books for most of the banks is linked to repo. The 25 bips repo rate cut that happened would ideally mean that there will be 10 to 12 bips of NIM compression. But the point is, a lot of banks are saying that a lot of deposits will come up for repricing in Q4. And therefore, there will be some balancing that will happen in terms of, NIMs not seeing that sort of downturn is my sense. And in any case, Q1 onwards, you will start to see some uptick in NIMs. And fortunately, we have not seen deterioration in credit cycle this time around. So credit cost will still be well behaved for most of the banks. Specifically, if you look for Axis, we are at close to 825 rupees of book for FY28, which would mean 1.4 times valuation. So my sense is at this price, a lot of bad news is already there in the prices. With a 12 to 15 month horizon, we could potentially be looking at the stock trading closer to 1.8 times price to book.
Okay, all right. Hi, Nikhil. Good afternoon and good to see you in. I recall a couple of months ago, you were talking about the Nifty, moving towards all-time highs. And that's precisely what's happened. With the 12-month time horizon, what do you think? What does the Nifty deliver in terms of returns in 2026? And since you normally don't stop short of, giving us a couple of names, give us a couple of ideas, two stock ideas. I think Biocon is something you've liked in the past. Fill us in with 2 stock ideas. So levels on the Nifty and 2 stock ideas.
Yeah, so Nigel, if you look at it, in 3 months, we will start rolling over to FY28 earnings for Nifty. If you look at the consensus, we are today at close to 1280, 1290 rupees of EPS for Nifty in FY27, and FY28 would look somewhere between 1425 to 1450. If you give 20 times multiple to that, the Nifty's fair value 12 months down the line should be somewhere between 28,500 to 29,000. So my sense is from here on, the risk reward on the index is starting to look extremely good. We have seen the worst of everything. Trade deal has got postponed. We've seen close to 3 lakh crores of FI selling in the last 12 months in secondary markets. And in spite of that, the broader markets have been very well behaved. So my sense is the worst case downside on the Nifty for the time being looks to be closer to 25,500. And with a 12-month horizon, you should have a 10% upside, which will translate somewhere closer to 28,500 levels on Nifty. I would not like to take specific names of companies, but broadly, I think that given the fact that we have Jio IPO, which is there for the first half of next calendar year, there should be some excitement around the telecom names. It's been 4 or 5 quarters since we had the last 20% tariff hike in telecom. And my sense is just before the IPO, we could have one more round of 20% tariff hike in telecom stocks, which should keep those stocks buzzing.
For Jio, the company in the AGM had said it should happen, I think, somewhere in the middle of next year, the first half of next fiscal year. So middle of calendar year is what the street was anticipating. But they were waiting for the SEBI norms to bring down the minimum promoter offer for sale. Sale has to be 2.5%. There is that SEBI proposal because, the Jio IPO is going to be so large. So what Jio is waiting for is the final guideline from the government coming through that now the promoters can go ahead with the IPO by selling only at 2.5%. But I think as of now, from the chatter, the timeline, what the company shared in the AGM is still very much intact, which is the middle of next year.
Okay, so that's as far as Jio is concerned. Nikhil, so, finally, if we were to ask you, what is the biggest theme for 2026? Now, I don't know if it's going to be a dark horse, or if it's going to be more of the same, some of the names that you already took. But the one theme, the one trend, one set of companies that are likely to catch the headlines and catch the price action next year, what would it be?
So I think if the sort of Biosecure Act plays out very well, we could have some of the CDMO companies starting to do pretty well. We've seen decent correction in a lot of pharma names also. So that's one sector which, if policies turn favorable, should start doing well. Rupee also is an added factor for these names. And as I said, banking is something that we still continue to like. We still believe that the risk reward is extremely favorable in a lot of private sector banking names now. Incrementally, the downside looks limited to 2-3%, and we could have a 15% upside in most of the names with a 12-month horizon.
Thank you, Nikhil. Rich conversation, as always, full of insights. Happy weekend to you. Moving on now to what's happening in the futures and options space. Nigel has now moved over to the F&O wall.
Well, Rima, one positive of today is that the Nifty, after all through the week making lower highs and lower lows, we made a higher high and higher low. So that's positive in itself. But besides that, on a closing basis, you'll want the Nifty 8 to end closer to around the 20-year DMA. The simple moving average, that is, that's close to around 26,000 odd mark. Both the Nifty and the Nifty Bank, they're a little bit short of the 20 DMA. So closer to this level actually will be heartening to see. In terms of the PCR, well, that's moved up to around 1.16 odd. Remember, earlier in the week, it had moved down to around 0.7. Now it's popped up because the kind of put writing that we've seen, 25,900 put, 25,950 put. Both of them are seeing a big amount of open interest built up. And the premium on both those two strikes actually are down by close to around 50 to around 60%. On the flip side, the 26,000 call, good amount of open interest built up out there. And, on that particular strike, the premium is up by close to around 50% at around 65 rupees odd. So some out of the money call buying is what we're seeing. We talk about the Nifty bank as well, getting to the 20-day MA. But the one that's actually been doing the heavy lifting has been Reliance Industries. That's like an index by itself. There's a good amount of buying we're seeing out there. And that stock, in fact, is trading above the 20-day MA. So that stock has been the one that's actually been leading the way in holding one end up. Individual stocks on the stock futures side, you have seen some fresh buying on Shriram Finance, which is the stock of the day post that deal. Massive open interest built up on that one. And it's that sort of a day where short covering is taking place on individual counters. Sona BLW, the stock did come off from the recent peak. That's come in for a bit of a short covering bounce. KPIT Technologies, another stock that's come off drastically from the recent highs. Well, that one as well has come in for a bit of a short squeeze in trade today. Well, there is some signs of fresh shorting on Chola. The stock actually is lower and the open interest has popped up. As I said earlier this week as well, the FI net short positions had moved to around 92%. Giving bulls some kind of hope that we'll see some bit of a short squeeze. It appears part of that is actually taking place in today's trading session.
Okay, so that's the F&O side of the market, and the Qs are picking up over there, looking really good. Now look at the Midcap index, 1% up, and the Nifty itself is still pretty much where it was about half an hour back. Mitesh is with us for some final calls. Mitesh, it's all about individual stocks, and some are really spiking now. Final trades?
In fact, the closing on the index is also strong, so I think that's helping as well. I have a BTST on Biocon with a stop at about 396.5. Look for a target of around 404, 405. And the second stock, that's a BTST call as well, DV's Lab with a stop at about 64.59 for targets of 6,500.
Okay, all right, got it. Thank you very much, Mitesh, for that. We will now let you go and enjoy your weekend. Right now, take a quick break, come back with more on stocks on the other side. We'll have Amrish Balika joining in with some new stock ideas as well.
होम EMI 50,000
तो जा रही है। आपकी क्या तैयारी है? पूरे सीलिंग का 20,000 आउटगोइंग है जा रही। आपकी क्या तैयारी?
मौसा जी, मेरी शादी का गिफ्ट।
मनी की आउटगोइंग रहेगी जारी, इसीलिए कर लो तैयारी। SIP के साथ इन्वेस्ट करो और जरूरत पड़ने पर SWP के साथ सिस्टमैटिकली विड्रॉ करो। म्यूचुअल फंड निवेश बाजार जोखिमों के अधीन है। योजना से जुड़े सभी दस्तावेजों को ध्यान से पढ़ें।
AU सेविंग्स अकाउंट में मिलते हैं अमेजिंग बेनिफिट्स, पेपरलेस बैंकिंग एंड हायर इंटरेस्ट, वो भी हर महीने।
मनी 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 एवरी मंथ। सोच बदलो और बैंक भी।
पैसा लगाना है तो सेंचुरी क्लब प्राइम पे लगाओ। डूबेगा नहीं, जलेगा भी नहीं, कोई खा नहीं जाएगा, धोखा नहीं देगा, ऊपर नीचे भी नहीं होगा, सेफ रहेगा, सिक्योर्ड में मिनिमम 30 साल का रिटर्न देगा। अब इससे बेटर इन्वेस्टमेंट है तो बताओ। सेंचुरी क्लब प्राइम, रहो बेफिक्र।
We are everyone, but we are not just anyone. We choose progress over pressure. We say no to shortcuts and yes to the strength of discipline, to the pride of planning, to the thrill of watching our future take shape little by little. We are citizens, and you can be one too. Sip karo, citizen bano. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
कौन है जो जोड़े देश को? विकसित भारत का विकसित वायर।
बिजली का बिल 5,000
आउटगोइंग तो जा रही है। आपकी क्या तैयारी है?
रूट कैनल 25,000
आउटगोइंग है जा रही। आपकी क्या तैयारी?
सीनियर क्लास की फीस 1 लाख रुपीस।
मनी की आउटगोइंग रहेगी जारी, इसीलिए कर लो तैयारी। SIP के साथ इन्वेस्ट करो और जरूरत पड़ने पर SWP के साथ सिस्टमैटिकली विड्रॉ करो। म्यूचुअल फंड निवेश बाजार जोखिमों के अधीन है। योजना से जुड़े सभी दस्तावेजों को ध्यान से पढ़ें।
जब भी घर की बात आती है तो 2 बातें सामने आती हैं, रेंट का घर या अपना घर। अपना घर हो तो फिर 2 बातें, इस बैंक से लोन या उस बैंक से लोन। फिर मेरी इन 2 बातों पर फुल स्टॉप लग गया जब मुझे यूनियन बैंक से हैसल फ्री लोन मिला।
राज, मैं सलवार सूट पहनूं या जंपसूट?
अब इन 2 बातों का कोई कुछ नहीं कर सकता।
यूनियन बैंक ऑफ इंडिया, अच्छे लोग, अच्छा बैंक।
The best holiday ever's finally over.
When you fly Emirates, your holiday isn't over until your flight is over.
हमने 2.5 में सोचा था ये.
संजीव,
हाँ?
ये वाला घर पिक करना एक मास्टर स्ट्रोक है.
ये घर बजट से ज्यादा है. कौन देगा हमें बढ़िया होम लोन?
सचिन.
सचिन क्यों देगा होम लोन?
सचिन.
अरे मैं नहीं. सचिन. बैंक ऑफ बड़ौदा देगा तुम्हें बढ़िया होम लोन और बेहतर इंटरेस्ट रेट भी मिलेगा. बैंक ऑफ बड़ौदा से होम लोन लेना भी एक मास्टर स्ट्रोक है.
High MTF rates hurting your profits?
Why, what's your MTF interest rate?
Mine is 14.5%. It's cutting down my returns.
Then switch to Paytm Money. Their MTF interest rate is just 7.99% per annum.
Pay less and trade more. Switch to Paytm Money.
Investments in the securities market are subject to market risk. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.
Okay, welcome back. Well, let's quickly take a look at the shape of the market and what is transpiring now. Nifty is still holding on to a bulk of those gains. The Midcap index is up 1%. And since we're talking Midcaps, let's just give you a flavor of the kind of rally we're seeing in some of these stocks. ICICI Pru today's listing 20%. Grow thanks to that Jefferies note 11%. Lenskart again thanks to a broker note up about 15%. And some tech stocks are doing very, very well. So Tata Elxsi and KPIT Tech are between 5 to 8% higher among themselves. So it's that's Nifty IT. Midcap IT is the one where there's a lot of flair. Those are the stocks that I'm talking about. Pretty interesting price action taking place today. Well, actually, let's focus on the day's listing. And it's been a good one for ICICI.